The Shire is quiet. The lanterns are glowing. Welcome back to the Hobbit's Hideout, where stories grow like leaves on the party tree. Hello guys, today we'll journey deep beneath the mountains, where ancient waters hold memories as old as stone itself. Before we wander the Shire together, let's pause. Take a long, deep breath, and let the weight of your day melt away like morning mist on the party tree. You've earned this quiet moment just for you. Imagine the soft grass beneath your feet, the smell of fresh baked bread in the air. If any part of this tale makes you smile or brings you a sense of home, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Now, let me paint the scene for you. Outside your window, fireflies dance like distant lanterns, their gentle light mingling with the golden glow from the rounded windows of Bag End. The evening air carries the melody of a distant flute, perhaps played by a traveler resting at the Green Dragon. Somewhere, a nightingale offers its evening song, as if in conversation with the stars that now begin to appear in the deepening blue sky. The scent of pipeweed sweet and earthy drifts from nearby gardens where hobbits sit on benches, sharing tales of days long past. The moon rises slow and full above the rolling hills, casting silver light across dewy grass. From somewhere near, the soft murmur of the Brandywine River provides a gentle backdrop, a constant reminder that even in stillness, the world flows ever onward. This is the hour when the world grows quiet enough to hear the whispers of ancient stories that have waited all day for darkness to unfold. Tonight's tale will carry us far from the gentle hills of the Shire, beyond even the towering trees of Fangorn or the golden halls of Edoras. We journey instead to the realm beneath the mountains, where stone breathes slow and patient, where darkness is not an absence, but a presence with depth and meaning of its own. For as the elves have their stars and the hobbits their gardens, the dwarven folk have always found their truest home in the embrace of living stone. Imagine now that you are a young dwarf of 40 years, still in the early springtime of a life that might stretch across 2 centuries or more. 40 years barely more than a child by the reckoning of your people, yet already sensing that something sets you apart, some deeper connection to this stone from which, according to the oldest tales, your ancestors were shaped by the great Maker at the dawn of days. You stand in the preparation hall of the great dwarven kingdom, its walls glowing amber with lantern light that dances across veins of precious metals woven through the stone. The hall stretches around you in a perfect circle, its ceiling a dome carved to represent the night sky as it appeared when the first dwarves awoke beneath the mountains. Master Thorin Stoneheart moves with deliberate care around you, his steps as measured as his words while he inspects your simple pack with hands that have performed this ritual 1,000 times before. His beard, once auburn but now streaked with silver-like mithril threads in dark stone, is braided with beads that tell the story of his lineage for those who know how to read such things. Traveling light as wisdom deep, he nods approvingly, his eyes crinkling beneath bushy brows that have witnessed countless first journeys. The pools provide all that is truly needed. You adjust the ancestral pendant around your neck, handed down through 7 generations, from the time when your line first settled beneath this particular mountain. The stone within it seems alive with tiny trapped constellations that shift and change as the light moves across its surface. Sometimes, in moments of quiet contemplation, you've caught glimpses of patterns that speak to something deep within your blood, a memory older than yourself, perhaps older than your line itself. Today marks an important threshold in your young life. The journey to the sacred pools awaits a tradition every dwarf since the awakening of the 7 fathers has undertaken. In the ancient tales, Durin the Deathless, eldest of the 7, found wisdom and foresight by gazing into a dark mountain pool illuminated only by stars reflected from above. The pools beneath this mountain are said to be connected to that first pool through underground rivers that flow deeper than any dwarf has ever delved. Some make the journey to the pools only once, finding in those depths the revelation that guides their craft for the remainder of their days. Others return at significant moments in their lives, seeking wisdom or renewal. A rare few become guides, like Master Thorin, leading new generations down pathways that grow ever more ancient. Somehow, the stone beneath your feet seems to hum with anticipation, as if the very mountain knows your name and has been waiting for you. The sensation isn't entirely comfortable. It feels like standing at the edge of a great precipice, knowing that a step forward will forever change your understanding of the world. Are you ready, young one? Master Thorin asks, his voice like distant thunder within the mountain. He adjusts the ceremonial hammer at his belt, not a craftsman's tool, but a symbol of authority, its head carved from stone said to have been touched by Durin himself. The path descends for many hours, but it leads to waters older than our oldest songs. You nod, swallowing the knot of nervousness in your throat. Your hands move instinctively to check your supplies one final time the waterskin filled. From the upper springs, a small bundle of journey bread wrapped in leaves to preserve its freshness, a tiny pot of fragrant oil to anoint your brow before entering the sacred waters. Beside you stands Brimir Ironfoot, 65 and making his second trek to the pools. His auburn beard is elaborately braided in the style that marks him as a metalsmith of growing renown. Already, his work is sought by dwarves from neighboring settlements. His skill with gold particularly praised for capturing and enhancing the natural beauty of the metal, rather than dominating it. The first step is always the heaviest, he murmurs, his voice rich and resonant, like fine bronze struck with a soft hammer. But the path knows your feet already. I felt that on my first journey, as if generations of our ancestors had smoothed the way through their passing. The great doors to the lower passages groan open, ancient mechanisms moving with surprising smoothness, as the massive stone slabs reveal the path that leads downward. A cool draft flows upward from the opening, carrying scents from deep below. Mineral-rich air that has never known sunlight, the faint loamy smell of rare fungi that grow in the darkness, and beneath it all, something undefinable that raises the hair on the back of your neck. Before you stretches the first of the 7 passages, a broad corridor with vaulted ceilings and walls covered in intricate geometric patterns. Master Thorin lights his guide lantern, a beautiful creation of silver and crystal that casts light in a particular spectrum said to reveal features of the stone invisible to ordinary illumination. Let nothing of the upper world distract your thoughts from this moment forward, Master Thorin instructs, his voice taking on a formal cadence that suggests he speaks words unchanged for countless generations. With each step downward, you approach not just the physical center of our realm, but the spiritual heart of our people. He motions for you to follow, then steps through the doorway. The stone feels different beneath your boots, now more attentive somehow, as if it's taking the measure of your steps. The air too changes character, becoming both cooler and somehow more substantial, as if each breath draws in not just air, but subtle awareness. The first passage, Master Thorin's voice echoes slightly against the perfect acoustics of the space, was carved in the Second Age, when our people first returned to these mountains. Notice how the patterns repeat in groups of 7 honoring the 7 fathers who awoke beneath distant peaks in the time before the sun and moon rode the skies. Your fingers trail along the cool stone walls, feeling the precise chisel marks of master craftsmen who walked these paths 1,000 years before your birth. The lantern light catches on veins of crystal embedded in the rock, sending tiny rainbows dancing across the carved surfaces. As you descend, the passage gradually narrows and the ceiling lowers. The perfectly squared corners of the first passage give way to more rounded contours. The air grows cooler against your skin, carrying. Hints of mineral scents that seem familiar yet impossible to name, like trying to describe the color of a dream after waking. The second passage, Master Thorin explains as the character of the corridor changes, dates from the time of the Great Delving, when our people sought the heart of the mountain. See how the carvings here tell stories rather than simply decorating. The space, indeed, the walls now display scenes of mining and crafting dwarven figures bent over anvils, raising hammers or carefully setting gems into elaborate settings. Between these scenes run flowing patterns that resemble rivers of metal. The lantern light seems dimmer here, yet somehow the carvings catch the light in ways that make them appear almost animated as you pass. Hours pass as you journey through the third and fourth passages, each more ancient than the last. The worked stone gradually gives way to more natural formations, as if the ancestors who carved these paths were increasingly content to let the mountain speak in its own voice. Your legs grow tired, but a strange energy builds within you with each step downward. The weight of countless generations seems to press upon your shoulders, not as a burden, but as a steadying hand. By the time you reach the fifth passage, conversation has fallen away. Even Brimir, who began the journey sharing tales of his first trek, now walks in reverent silence. The only sounds are your footfalls, the occasional drip of water forming, stalactites, and the soft hiss of Master Thorin's lantern. The sixth passage barely qualifies as worked stone at all. It is more a natural tunnel that has been gently widened in places, with steps carved only where the descent would otherwise be too treacherous. The air here is noticeably colder, and your breath forms small clouds that hang momentarily before dissolving into the darkness. Occasionally, the passage opens into natural caverns of breathtaking beauty, cathedral-sized spaces where stalactites and stalagmites create columns that seem deliberately positioned to support the vaulted ceilings. In one such chamber, Master Thorin pauses to allow you to take in the spectacle. This formation, he says, gesturing to a massive column at the chamber's center, has been growing for over 50,000 years. A single drop of water, carrying dissolved minerals from above, falls every 7 minutes. Over time, this patience creates beauty that no craftsperson could replicate. As you continue downward, the quality of darkness itself seems to change. It becomes less an absence of light and more a presence with texture and depth, something almost tangible, that the lantern parts rather than dispels. The darkness feels ancient, primordial, yet not threatening. Instead, it conveys a sense of being enfolded in something protective and nurturing, like returning to a womb of stone. We approach the echo chamber. Master Thorin finally speaks, his voice hushed with reverence. It precedes the final descent to the pools. There is a tradition here that must be honored. The passage suddenly opens into a vast cathedral-like cavern, so large that Master Thorin's lantern cannot illuminate the ceiling. The floor is smooth, polished by the passage of countless feet over millennia. In the center stands a single column of stone that rises up and disappears into the darkness above a column that appears to have been neither carved nor placed, but somehow grown from the living rock itself. Here, Master Thorin says, you must speak your true name and lineage aloud. The chamber will carry your words to the ancestors who watch over the pools below. You step forward, your heart beating faster. The chamber waits in perfect silence, as if holding its breath. I am, you begin, your voice small at first, then gathering strength as you recite the names of your line, reaching back 7 generations to the ancestor whose pendant now rests against your chest. The echoes take your words and transform them, sending them bouncing from wall to unseen wall. But as the echoes begin to fade, something strange occurs. Whispers that are not echoes seem to fill the space, too numerous and overlapping too. distinguish individual words, yet somehow conveying acknowledgement. The stone column in the center seems to vibrate almost imperceptibly. Master Thorin nods with satisfaction. The stone remembers you now, he says simply. What craft destiny do you hope the pools might reveal? This question catches you by surprise. It is deeply personal, yet tradition demands you speak it aloud in this sacred space. After a moment's hesitation, you voice your deepest aspiration, the craft you have always felt drawn toward yet feared you might not have the talent to pursue. The words leave your lips and join the whispers that still linger in the vastness of the chamber. The final passage is the most primal of all, a narrow cleft in the rock that requires you to turn sideways in some places. The walls glisten with moisture, and small luminescent fungi provide the faintest blue-green glow. Master Thorin explains that no lanterns are permitted beyond this point. Tradition dictates that the pools must be approached by this natural light alone. The pools lie just ahead, he says, extinguishing his lantern. From here, we walk in the light that the mountain itself provides. The passage makes one final turn, and suddenly opens into a space unlike any you have ever witnessed. A vast, low-ceilinged cavern stretches before you, its floor dropping in a series of gentle stone steps to where still, midnight blue waters lie in perfect stillness. The pools, there are 7 of them, arranged in a pattern that suggests the constellation of Durin's crown, are illuminated by rare phosphorescent crystals embedded in the ceiling and walls, casting a gentle blue-white light that makes the waters appear as liquid starlight. Remove your boots, Master Thorin instructs quietly, already unlacing his own. Set aside your tools and outer garments. The pools are to be approached with as little between yourself and the stone as tradition allows. You do as instructed, the cool stone smooth beneath your bare feet. As you remove the pendant from around your neck, the last item to be set aside, you notice that the tiny constellation trapped within the stone seems to pulse faintly, as if responding to the proximity of the pools. Master Thorin and Brimir remain at the edge of the cavern. This final part of the journey is to be undertaken alone. With each step down toward the pools, the air grows noticeably warmer, contrary to every expectation. Steam rises in delicate wisps from the water's surface, though the pools themselves remain mirror still. At the edge of the central pool, the largest and seemingly deepest of the 7, you pause, something profound and wordless passing through you. These waters have witnessed the coming and going of countless generations. They have seen empires rise and fall in the world above. They have waited here in perfect stillness since before your people had names for themselves. Following an impulse that seems to arise from the stone beneath your feet, rather than from your own thought, you anoint your brow with fragrant oil from your pack, then step into the water. The sensation is like nothing you have experienced. Not quite like water at all, but something both more substantial and more ethereal, as if you are immersing yourself in liquid light or fluid crystal. You wade to the center of the pool, then stand completely still until the water calms again, becoming a flawless mirror. The crystals overhead are reflected around and beneath you, creating the disorienting sensation that you are suspended in a sphere of stars. You cup your hands and lower them slowly into the pool, then raise them, filled with water, to your forehead. The moment the water touches your skin, something changes. The cavern around you seems to recede, the boundaries of your awareness expanding. Outward and inward simultaneously, colors you never imagined could exist flow before you. Music that seems composed of the vibrations of matter itself fills your consciousness. Images flood through you, hands like your own working with various materials, the satisfaction of creation, the frustration of failure, the joy of mastery achieved after long effort. Most powerfully, you feel a sense of continuity that your hands are not only your own, but an extension of all the hands that have shaped stone and metal since the first dwarf awoke beneath the mountains. Your craft destiny is not a burden, but a gift passed through generations, each adding their own wisdom to the accumulated knowledge of your line. How long you stand there, you cannot say. Time loses meaning in the pools, but gradually the visions fade, and you become aware once more of the cavern around you. You feel both deeply tired and profoundly energized, as if some essential connection has been made that was previously lacking. Master Thorin waits at the edge of the pools, his eyes knowing but asking no questions. Tradition dictates that what is seen at the pools remains unspoken. The journey back always seems shorter, he says gently, though the path is the same, and indeed, as you retrace your steps through the 7 passages, everything feels different. The mountain itself seems to help guide you upward. You notice details in the stone you missed before, tiny fossils embedded in the rock walls, subtle variations in color that tell of events millions of years past, the precise tool marks of ancient craftsmen whose work endures. By the time you reach the familiar halls again, stars have wheeled overhead in the world above, but something timeless now dwells within you. The noise and bustle of the upper halls, once so familiar, now seems slightly foreign after the profound silence of the depths. Yet you also feel more connected to this place and your people than ever before. Master Thorin accompanies you to your dwelling, a traditional courtesy extended to those returning from the pools. At your door, he places a hand briefly on your shoulder, the touch conveying more than words could express acknowledgement, welcome, respect for what you have become through your journey. Rest now, he says simply. Tomorrow and in the days that follow, what you have learned will continue to unfold. Do not rush to act upon it, allow it to integrate naturally with your existing knowledge and skills. The pools reveal potential, but realizing that potential remains the work of a lifetime after he departs, you enter your familiar dwelling with new eyes. The simple furnishings, the tools of your apprentice craft, the small treasures gathered over your 40 years, all seem somehow both more clearly themselves and more evidently connected to everything else. Without fully intending to begin work, certainly not after such a physically and spiritually demanding journey, you find yourself reaching for a small piece of stone collected months ago during an exploratory expedition. Taking up your tools, you begin to shape it with a clear vision that seems to flow directly from your hands rather than your conscious mind. Time passes without notice as you work, the ordinary boundaries between self and action dissolving into a state of flow. Eventually, as the fire burns low, you set down your tools and examine what has emerged from your hands, a perfect miniature representation of the sacred pool chamber, rendered with such precision that it seems to capture not just the physical space, but something of its essence. You place the carving on a small shelf near your sleeping area, where it will be the first thing you see upon waking. It will serve as both reminder and anchor, a physical manifestation of the connection established in the depths, a touchstone to return to when the demands of ordinary life threaten to obscure the insights gained below. Tonight, as you rest your head upon your pillow, you carry the stillness of those ancient pools with you. Your dreams are filled with stone and starlight, with the whispers of ancestors and the cool touch of waters older than memory. The craft destiny, glimpsed in those sacred depths, will unfold in its own time, but for now, it is enough to have walked the path that connects you to the very beginning of your people's story. And as your consciousness drifts deeper into sleep, the mountain itself seems to sing a lullaby of stone and time and the enduring nature of things that grow slowly, with purpose and patience. The sacred pools wait in their perfect stillness. Far below, reflecting stars that no surface eyes can see, holding memories that will one day include your own. For now, all is still, all is well, and the deep places of the world wait to welcome you again. The Shire is always here, waiting to welcome you home, until our paths cross again beneath the party tree. For now, all is still, all is well, and the deep places of the world wait to welcome you again. The Shire is always here, waiting to welcome you home, until our paths cross again beneath the party tree. In our next tale, we journey with the same young dwarf whose communion with the sacred pools we've just witnessed. Several weeks have passed, and tonight, beneath the silvered crown of the mountain, where the sky opens to the stars, another ancient tradition awaits. Outside your window, the moon hangs full and luminous, casting silver light across the sleeping landscape. The night birds have fallen silent, as if in reverence to this perfect hour, when even the stars seem to lean closer to earth. A gentle breeze carries the faint scent of late summer blossoms, honeysuckle, and night jasmine mingling with the earthy aroma of cooling soil. Far in the distance, perhaps from the woods beyond Hobbit, comes the occasional soft call of an owl, a solitary voice in the vast quietude. The small carving of the sacred pool chamber sits on your shelf, created by your hands on the very night you returned from the depths. In the pale moonlight filtering through your dwelling's crystal window, the tiny pools seem almost to shimmer with remembered illumination. You touch the pendant at your throat, the ancestral stone with its trapped constellation, feeling how it somehow resonates differently since its immersion in the sacred waters. The visions granted by the pools have settled into your bones these past weeks, no longer overwhelming, but present as a quiet certainty that guides your hands and heart. In the time since your descent, you've begun formal apprenticeship with Master Runehammer, the Forge Master, whose works are renowned throughout the 7 dwarf kingdoms. Your natural affinity for metalwork, suspected before, but confirmed by your communion with the pools, was noticed by the masters. Within days of your return, the formal invitation arrived, sealed with the anvil and flame sigil of the Forge Guild. Tonight marks an important moment in that apprenticeship, the forging of your first ceremonial axe, a rite of passage for every dwarf who follows the path of metalcraft. But unlike most such workings which take place in the great forges deep within the mountain, yours will be shaped beneath the open sky in the sacred circle of ancient anvils known as the Moonforge. This rare privilege was granted after Master Thorin spoke privately with the Forge Council, sharing whatever he observed during your communion with the pools. The traditional Moonforge working is practiced only 4 times each year, when the moon is full and at its zenith, and even then, only apprentices who have shown exceptional promise are permitted this honor. Legend holds that metal shaped beneath the direct light of moon and stars takes on qualities that forge fire alone cannot impart: resilience, harmony with the natural world, and attunement to the wielder's spirit. For 3 weeks, you've prepared for this night, gathering materials with your own hands as tradition requires. You've risen before dawn to collect particular minerals from the eastern slopes where the first light of day touches the mountain. You've worked late into the night, studying ancient texts on metallurgy and astronomy, learning how the positions of celestial bodies influence the properties of metal. You've spent hours in meditation, visualizing the form that will flow from your hands, seeking to align your intention with the inherent properties of the materials you will transform. Sleep has been scarce, yet as you rise from your pallet and prepare for the night's working, you feel alert, focused, almost luminous with anticipation. The weariness of preparation falls away, replaced by a clarity that reminds you of those moments in the sacred pools when ordinary awareness expanded into something far more comprehensive and penetrating. You dress in the simple garments provided. For the ritual, loose-fitting trousers and a tunic of undyed linen, a leather apron bearing no decorations or guild marks, soft boots made from the hide of mountain goats. No metal may be worn on your body during the working. Even your ancestral pendant must be left behind, though you're permitted to place it in a small niche overlooking the Moonforge, where it might witness your labors. A soft knock at your door signals that the time has come. You open it to find Brimir Ironfoot waiting, his expression solemn, yet his eyes bright with excitement for you. Though not your formal mentor, that role belongs to Master Runehammer. He has taken an interest in your progress since your shared journey to the Sacred Pools. His own apprenticeship completed just last year. He now wears the copper band of a journeyman smith around his upper arm. It's time, he says simply. The masters have assembled, and the moon approaches its zenith. You gather your materials, carefully wrapped in cloths of various colors, each hue chosen to harmonize with the elemental nature of what it contains. The bundle is substantial, the culmination of weeks of gathering and preparation, yet it feels light in your arms, as if the materials themselves are eager for the transformation that awaits them. Brimir leads you through corridors that climb steadily upward, following routes rarely traveled by most inhabitants of the Mountain Kingdom. These are the upper ways, passages that connect the bustling heart of your community with the more rarefied spaces near the summit. The air grows cooler, fresher as you ascend, with subtle drafts carrying scents from the world above: pine resin, night-blooming flowers, the mineral tang of snow on distant peaks. I remember my own night at the Moonforge, Brimir says as you walk, breaking the silence that has fallen between you. Nothing in my training prepared me for what it feels like when the metal begins to respond to both your hands and the light of the stars. It's as if you're suddenly speaking 3 languages simultaneously and somehow understanding all of them. You appreciate his attempt to prepare you, but sense that this experience, like your communion with the pools, must be lived to be understood. Some mysteries resist description, existing in a realm beyond language, accessible only through direct participation. The passage makes a final turn, and then begins to ascend a spiral stair carved into the living rock. Unlike the grand staircases of the main halls, with their elaborate balustrades and precisely measured risers, this stair feels ancient and primal, as if it might have been one of the first paths shaped by dwarven hands in this mountain. The steps are worn in their centers, testament to countless feet that have climbed this way over millennia. At the top of the stair, a simple arch opens onto a small antechamber bathed in soft blue light. The illumination comes from phosphorescent crystals similar to those that lit the sacred pools, though these have been deliberately cultivated in shapes that suggest stars and constellations. 7 alcoves line the circular walls, each containing ceremonial tools and emblems representing one of the disciplines that contribute to the mastery of metallurgy. Master Runehammer waits here, his tall figure immediately recognizable by the distinctive silhouette of his beard and shoulders. Unlike the other masters, who maintain the traditional full beard of dwarven culture, he wears his facial hair in a style of his own invention, multiple braids of precisely equal length, each adorned with a different metal bead representing a distinct alloy he has mastered over his long career. Young one, he greets you, his voice deep as the roots of the mountain, yet surprisingly gentle. You have come prepared for the working? You nod, presenting your bundle of materials for his inspection. With reverent care, he unwraps each cloth, examining its contents with eyes that see far more than ordinary vision might perceive. His fingers hover just above each substance: the raw ore, the charcoal made from lightning-struck oak, the flux created from limestone gathered where mountain meets sky, the leather for the handle selected from the hide of a mountain goat that you tracked and hunted yourself. He lingers longest over the small vial of water from the sacred pools, permitted to be collected only by those who will undertake the Moonforge working. This most precious component will be added at a crucial moment in the forging, bonding your inner vision to the physical form taking shape beneath your hammer. "All is in order," he pronounces finally, his tone conveying more than the simple words themselves. There is acknowledgement here, respect for the care you've taken in preparation, recognition of your readiness for what lies ahead. The final element awaits us above. He leads you to a second, steeper stair that ascends through the ceiling of the antechamber. As you climb, you notice how the quality of the air changes, becoming charged with a subtle energy that raises the fine hairs on your arms and makes your skin tingle with awareness. The stone itself seems different here, more crystalline, more resonant, as if the boundary between the mountain and the cosmos grows thin in this highest region. You emerge into the open air, and despite your preparation, the sight that greets you draws an involuntary gasp. You stand now at the entrance to the Moon Forge, a circular courtyard carved into the very peak of the mountain. 7 stone steps lead upward from the passage through which you've come, each inscribed with runes that tell of the relationship between earth and sky, between the depths where metals sleep and the heights where cosmic energies flow. The courtyard is open to the heavens, its perimeter defined by a low wall of perfectly fitted stones that seems to glow faintly silver in the moonlight. Beyond this wall, the mountain falls away steeply on all sides, creating the impression that the Moon Forge floats in the night sky, a perfect circle suspended between earth and stars. Master Runehammer gestures for you to remain at the base of the 7 steps while he ascends to join a group already assembled in the courtyard proper. You recognize the figures standing in a circle at the center, the 7 senior masters, each representing a discipline essential to the true understanding of metallurgy. They wear ceremonial robes of colors that correspond to their specialties: the deep indigo of the astronomers, the earth red of the geologists, the silver gray of the metallurgists, the amber gold of the alchemists, the forest green of the botanists, the bone white of the anatomists, and the midnight black of the philosophers. To your surprise, Master Thorin stands among them, wearing the indigo of the astronomical tradition, though you had known him primarily as a guide to the deep places. This reminds you that most senior masters study multiple disciplines, finding their particular wisdom in the connections and relationships between seemingly separate domains of knowledge. A soft chime sounds, a single, pure note that seems to resonate with both the stone beneath your feet and the stars overhead. At this signal, Master Thorin turns and descends the 7 steps to where you wait. "The final element," he says, "is celestial timing. We have tracked the motion of the stars and determined that tonight, the moon's path aligns perfectly with the constellation revealed in your ancestral pendant. Such an alignment occurs only once every 77 years. This is why you were granted the Moon Forge privilege so early in your apprenticeship. The stars themselves have indicated that this is your time." This revelation sends a shiver through you, not of fear, but of recognition. You recall how, in the sacred pools, certain visions seemed to suggest patterns of stars, guiding your hands in ways you didn't fully understand at the time. That these celestial patterns should now physically align on the very night of your first ceremonial forging feels like confirmation of something profound about your path. "Place your pendant in the witness niche," Master Thorin continues, indicating a small hollow carved into the stone at the side of the steps. "It will observe your working and further strengthen the bond between your lineage and your craft." You remove the pendant from around your neck, the first time it has been separated from you since your journey to the pools, and carefully place it in the small hollow. As it comes to rest against the stone, something remarkable happens. The tiny constellation captured within the pendant stone seems to brighten momentarily, as if responding to its alignment with the actual stars now positioned directly above the Moon Forge. "Ascend now," Master Thorin instructs, his voice taking on the formal cadence of ritual. "Cross the threshold between worlds and enter the realm where earth and sky commune." You climb the 7 steps with measured pace, each footfall deliberate, each breath deep and centering. The bundle of materials in your arms seems to grow lighter with each step, as if the boundary between mass and energy becomes more permeable in this liminal space. Runes carved into each riser glow faintly as you pass over them, not with any light visible to ordinary eyes, but with a luminescence that seems to register directly in your consciousness. As you reach the top step, the moon forge reveals itself fully to your eyes. The courtyard floor is made of a single massive piece of polished granite, its surface etched with intricate patterns that map the celestial sphere onto the horizontal plane. 7 anvils of ancient design stand in a smaller circle at its center, each one forged by a legendary craftsmaster in the early days of your people's history. Between the anvils, the forge itself awaits not the roaring fire you might expect, but a strange hearth built of stones that seem to glow with an inner light, creating heat without visible flame. This is one of the most closely guarded secrets of master smiths, the creation of sourceless heat, flame without fire, transformation without consumption. The hearth stones come from meteorites, fragments of stars fallen to Earth and imbued with cosmic energies that can be awakened through the proper applications of will and knowledge. The 7 masters stand equidistant around the perimeter of the courtyard, each holding a ceremonial hammer unique to their discipline. Master Runehammer takes position at the central anvil, which will be yours to use tonight. Unlike the others, in their formal robes, he wears only a simple leather apron over bare arms corded with muscle, despite his advanced years. Place your materials, he instructs, gesturing to a stone table beside the hearth. You unwrap your bundle, arranging each component with care, the raw ore extracted from a vein you discovered yourself, following intuition gained during your communion with the pools. The charcoal prepared through a 3-day burning of wood from a lightning-struck oak. The flux made from limestone gathered from the precise point where mountain meets sky. The leather for the grip, cured using traditional methods handed down through generations. The stone that will form the counterweight, selected for its perfect balance of density and resonance. Finally, you place the small vial of water from the sacred pools in a special holder designed to protect it until the precise moment of its addition. In the moonlight, the water seems to glow with an inner luminescence, as if remembering the phosphorescent crystals that illuminated its source. Deep within the mountain, before we begin, Master Runehammer says, you must share the vision that guides your working. What form do you seek to bring forth from these materials? This is a crucial moment in the ritual, the articulation of intention that will guide the entire process. You close your eyes briefly, calling to mind the image that has been clarifying itself in your consciousness since your return from the pools. When you speak, your voice is clear and confident, carrying easily in the perfect acoustics of the circular space. I seek to create an axe that embodies both balance and transition, the balance between heritage and innovation, and the transition from apprentice to craftsman. The blade will have a dual form, with one edge following traditional patterns for ceremonial strength, and the opposing edge incorporating a subtle innovation in its curve that suggests new possibilities. The handle will bear 7 facets, honoring the 7 disciplines and the 7 original fathers, while the counterweight stone will reflect the constellation captured in my ancestral pendant, connecting my individual work to my lineage and to the stars that guide our people's journey through time. The masters exchange glances, and you notice a subtle nod between Master Thorin and Master Runehammer, approval, perhaps, or confirmation of something previously discussed. The design you've described is ambitious for a first ceremonial working, incorporating symbolic elements that many apprentices wouldn't attempt until much later in their training. The working begins, announces Master Runehammer, striking a small silver gong that sends a clear, pure note spiraling upward into the night sky. The 7 masters begin a low humming that seems to make the very air vibrate with harmonics that resonate with different metals and minerals. This is the song of making, an oral tradition older than any written lore, its frequencies attuned to awaken receptivity in raw materials. Each master produces a different tone, and these tones interact to create patterns of sound too complex for conscious analysis, yet somehow deeply familiar to something in your body's knowing. Under Master Runehammer's guidance, you begin the preparation of your materials. First comes the aura chunks of metal-bearing stone that must be separated from their matrix. In an ordinary forge, this would require intense heat and mechanical crushing, but here in the Moonforge, a different approach is possible. You place the ore in a shallow stone basin and position it where the moonlight falls most directly. The master's humming shifts to a new pattern, emphasizing certain harmonic relationships, and to your amazement, the ore begins to respond. Minute vibrations appearing in the stone, fault lines developing along the boundaries between metal and matrix. With minimal assistance from your tools, the ore begins to separate, the metal content drawing together through some affinity awakened by the combination of sound and celestial light. Next comes the crucible preparation, a vessel made of material capable of withstanding the intense heat needed to melt the separated metal. The crucible too has been crafted by your own hands over the past weeks, formed from special clay mixed with powdered graphite and fired in a kiln using precisely controlled temperatures. You place it on the hearth where the meteorite stones have begun to glow more intensely in response to the master's humming. The metal pieces go into the crucible, along with carefully measured amounts of the flux that will help separate any remaining impurities. As the heat builds, Master Runehammer guides your attention to the changing colors of the metal as it moves through different temperature states from dull red through bright orange to a white, so intense it almost hurts to look upon. Each color shift represents molecular changes happening within the material, transformations that must be understood and respected for successful working. As the metal begins to liquefy fully, the moon reaches its perfect zenith directly above the courtyard. Its light pours down into the circle, and something extraordinary happens. The molten metal in the crucible begins to shimmer with an inner luminescence that seems to respond to the moonlight, silver highlights dancing across its surface though no wind disturbs it. Now, Master Runehammer says simply, you lift the crucible using long tongs, your muscles straining with the weight of the molten metal. With careful precision, you pour it into the stone mold prepared days earlier, a form rough shaped to the basic design of the axe head you envisioned after your communion with the pools. The metal flows like living water, seeming almost to seek out the contours of the mold, rather than simply obeying gravity. As the last drops fall from the crucible, you uncork the vial of pool water and add 3 precisely measured drops to the still liquid metal. In an ordinary forge, adding water to molten metal would cause dangerous splattering and potential explosion. But here in the Moonforge, under these special conditions, different rules apply. The sacred water doesn't evaporate, but instead merges with the liquid metal, creating a momentary rainbow shimmer across its surface. The reaction is immediate and startling. The entire surface of the cooling metal ripples as if alive, and for a brief moment, patterns appear within it that mirror the tiny constellation held within your ancestral pendant. The 7 masters. Humming intensifies, their tones converging into a single perfect chord that seems to hold the metal in a state between liquid and solid, malleable yet coherent. To the anvil, Master Runehammer directs, his voice barely audible above the humming, yet somehow perfectly clear to your ears. You grasp the specialized tongs and lift the partially formed axe head from its mold. Though it still glows with heat, It has taken on a consistency that allows it to hold its shape while remaining workable. You place it on the anvil before you. An anvil, you now notice, that has collected the moonlight so intensely that its surface seems to glow with an inner radiance of its own. The hammer speaks to the metal, Master Runehammer says, handing you a hammer unlike any you've used in your training. Its head is made of a metal you cannot identify, its surface inscribed with runes so ancient that even your studies haven't revealed their meaning. Its handle fits your grip as if made specifically for your hand, though you know it has been used in this ceremony for uncounted generations. But first, he continues, the metal must speak to you. You place your free hand, palm down, just above the glowing axe head, not touching but feeling the heat radiating from it. And as the master's humming shifts to a new harmonic pattern, something unexpected happens. You begin to sense the metal's internal structure, its molecular arrangement, its areas of tension and potential. It's as if your awareness has somehow merged with the material itself, perceiving it from within rather than merely observing its external properties. This, you realize, is the true gift of the Moon Forge, not merely the special physical properties that starlight and moonlight might impart to the metal, but this profound connection between maker and material, this dialogue of intention and potential that transcends ordinary craft. What's happening goes beyond technique or skill. It's a communion similar to but distinct from what you experienced in the sacred pools. With this newfound perception guiding you, you begin to hammer the axe head. Each strike is perfectly placed, each impact transmitting exactly the force. Needed no more, no less. The metal responds differently than in any previous working you've done, seeming almost to anticipate your intentions, flowing where it should flow, holding firm where it should hold. Time loses meaning as you work. The moon continues its arc across the sky, the angle of its light changing gradually, but always illuminating your hands and the emerging form beneath them. The master's humming provides a foundation, a rhythm to which your hammer blows naturally synchronize. Master Runehammer offers guidance only occasionally, with the briefest of gestures or single-word instructions, understanding that this working must emerge primarily from your own vision and connection with the material. You quench the metal in a special bath prepared with herbs and minerals gathered from the mountain slopes, the steam rising in elaborate patterns that seem to right themselves momentarily against the night sky before dissipating. You reheat, hammer again, quench again, the cycles of transformation continuing as the axe head gradually refines toward its final form. At certain points in the process, different masters step forward to offer their specific wisdom. The geologist guides you in reading the crystalline structure forming within the metal, showing how to encourage formations that enhance strength along the blade edge. The alchemist advises on the precise temperature needed for your next phase of working, judging not by color alone, but by the subtle movements visible on the metal's surface. The astronomer times your quenching to align with the movement of specific stars across particular segments of the sky. The blade edge you create is not merely sharp but harmoniously aligned with the internal structure of the metal, making it resilient beyond ordinary steel. The ceremonial engravings you had using tools of increasing delicacy emerge not as imposed decorations, but as expressions of the metal's own nature, revealing rather than altering its essential character. The traditional patterns flow from your hands without conscious planning, as if the knowledge of generations has temporarily taken residence in your muscles and nerves. Yet at the precise points where your design calls for innovation, your individual creativity engages, guided by the insights from your pool communion, introducing subtle variations that feel both novel and somehow inevitable, not a break from tradition, but its natural evolution. Throughout this working, you are aware of dualities merging hot and cold, liquid and solid, innovation and tradition, individual expression and collective wisdom, earthly material and celestial influence. The axe taking shape beneath your hands embodies these complementary forces in dynamic balance, neither opposing nor canceling each other, but creating something greater through their interaction. As dawn approaches, casting the first faint blush of pink and gold across the eastern horizon, you attach the handle wood from the same lightning-struck oak that provided your charcoal, shaped and polished over many days until it fits your grip, as naturally as if it had grown there. The 7 facets you've carved into the handle catch the light differently as it rotates, each reflecting one of the colors associated with the 7 disciplines represented by the attending masters. The counterweight stone, with its precisely drilled hole, slides onto the shaft and is secured with pins of the same metal as the blade. The stone itself is a marvel of your patient work, a piece of granite, selected for its flecks of reflective mica, carefully shaped and polished, then etched with a star pattern matching the constellation in your ancestral pendant. When properly aligned, the morning light striking the stone creates tiny points of brilliance that mirror the arrangement of actual stars visible in the night sky during your working. The balance is perfect, the axe feeling like an extension of your arm rather than a tool held by it. When you execute a tentative practice swing, the blade sings through the air with a tone that harmonizes with the master's humming, which has continued unbroken throughout the night. Master Runehammer approaches, examining your work with an expert's eye. He tests the edge with his thumb, checks the security of the handle fitting, assesses the balance. His expression remains neutral, but something in his eyes, a subtle widening, a momentary stillness, tells you that your work has exceeded his expectations. The final blessing, he says, gesturing to the eastern sky, where the first direct ray of sunlight will soon appear over the mountain's rim. You hold the axe with both hands, blade upward, as the 7 masters form a circle around you. There, humming changes one final time, becoming a chanted blessing in the ancient tongue, calling upon the elements that have contributed to this, making earth in the metal, fire in the forge, water in the quenching, air in the bellows, and spirit in your intention and the master's song. As the first golden light of sunrise breaks across the courtyard, striking the upturned blade of your axe, the chanting reaches its crescendo. For a moment so brief, you might have imagined it if not for the subtle gasp from Master Thorin. Standing nearby, the metal seems to absorb the sunlight and glow from within, completing the cycle begun under the moon's silver radiance. It is finished, Master Runehammer declares, striking the gong once more. And well made, coming from him. These simple words carry more weight than elaborate praise. The ritual of the Moon Forge is complete. You have created not merely a weapon or a tool, but a ceremonial embodiment of your relationship with metal and stone, with tradition and innovation, with earth and sky. The 7 masters depart silently, their role in the ceremony complete. Only Master Thorin remains, approaching with a small wooden box inlaid with silver. For safekeeping, he says, offering you the container until the day of presentation. You carefully place the axe in the box, where it will remain until the public ceremony 3 days hence, when you will formally be recognized as having completed this phase of your apprenticeship. The box is lined with silk dyed the deep blue of the night sky and embroidered with silver stars, a reminder of the conditions under which this special working was conducted. Master Runehammer places a hand on your shoulder. Rest now, he says, his voice gentler than its usual forge-hardened tone. You have done well. The metal has spoken through your hands, and what it has said is worthy, exhausted yet exhilarated. You make your way back down the 7 steps and through the passage leading to your quarters. The mountain is beginning to awaken around you, early risers heading to the kitchens, night sentries being relieved at their posts, morning prayers being chanted in the deep sanctuaries. But it all seems somewhat distant, as if you are walking in a space slightly removed from from ordinary time. You pause to collect your ancestral pendant from the witness niche. As you place it around your neck again, it feels subtly different. Warmer, somehow more alive, as if its witness of your working has added another layer to its already rich history. The constellation within its stone seems more clearly defined now, its tiny points of light more precisely aligned with the pattern you've etched into the counterweight of your ceremonial axe. Reaching your dwelling, you place the wooden box containing your creation on a shelf that holds special meaning to you, the same shelf where, weeks ago, you placed the small carving of the sacred pool chamber that emerged from your hands after your return from the depths. The two objects seem to belong together, representing the beginning and continuation of a journey that will unfold throughout your life. You prepare for rest, your muscles aching with the night's efforts, yet your mind strangely clear and peaceful. Through the crystal window of your dwelling, you can see how the morning light now illuminates the mountain slopes, transforming the landscape through the simple yet profound miracle of daily renewal. There is comfort in these cycles, the turning of day and night, the phases of the moon, the seasonal journey of constellations across the sky, the progressions of apprentice to journeyman to master. As you lie down, the first true weariness washes over you, not merely physical fatigue, but the deep exhaustion that comes from pouring one's complete attention and intention into a worthy making. Your consciousness begins to drift, images from the night's work flowing like the metal itself, the moon's silver light pouring down into the courtyard, the glowing hearth, the resonant tones of the master's humming, the perfect moment when hammer met metal, and the two seem to communicate without your conscious direction. And as you slip into dreams, there is a sense of rightness, of being precisely where and who you are meant to be, a young dwarf finding your way along an ancient path that stretches both behind and before you, connecting your individual journey to something far greater and more enduring than yourself alone. For now, all is well, all is complete, and the work of your hands rests safely, a testament to what is possible when tradition and vision, material and intention, earth and sky come together in harmonious creation. The Shire is always here, waiting to welcome you home. Until our paths cross again beneath the party tree,